Are you sure? Ah, there we are. And we are live. Welcome to the Maple Minds podcast. I'm Christi. That's Rob. That's Polly. We're just three people from BC who like to yap about politics. We yap about BC politics, Canadian politics, and international politics. But we're going to start up with something that we were talking about last week. We were just talking briefly. It's something I've been making videos about, and that is the public grocery store offering. So I've gotten a lot of comments and a lot of feedback that from people who hear, oh, Christi just thinks that capitalism is the best answer and that we shouldn't try to have a public option. And that's not what I think. I just think that government ownership isn't the answer without subsidies. What is being proposed is a government owned self-sufficient one, and I can't find evidence of that working in any of the countries that I've looked at. What I've seen is a lot of successful co-ops. I've seen a lot of successful subsidized businesses. Mexico is subsidized heavily, but they pay money for it. Fair enough. I would be in for that as long as I heard the plan of, where the money is coming from, and as long as somebody is honest about the plan. I want to have another live about that because there's been a couple of I challenged Johnny and then Robin challenged me today, all respectful. Like this isn't a I'm right, you're right fight. I think it's an important conversation. I really do. I was looking into it, and I think that it's killing me that nobody's talking about Walmart. It's killing me, you guys. Everybody wants to make just Loblaw the villain when it's the system that allowed there to only be 5. And when they say there's only 3, I think they're only thinking about the Canadian 3. And when you don't talk about Walmart, the second largest grocer with 25% market share that just invested $4 billion this year to become even bigger, how can you talk about affordable groceries and not talk about the company that has the buying power of, we have stores in 19 countries. These guys are coming forward to say, well, the Canadian government, because they're so big, you're not bigger than Walmart. The Canadian government is not bigger than Walmart. So I don't think that they should dismiss that. I don't believe that the 5 are the answer. But if you look at the 3 Canadian ones, when we were growing up, we all had different grocery stores, right? And now we've seen all of our childhood grocery stores get gobbled up by one of the 3 Canadian guys. And they didn't start gobbling up other stores until Walmart came to Canada. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and you also, they don't even touch on Costco. I mean, Costco is massive. So, honestly, I still think before we even look at any sort of government-run grocery stores, they need disruptors. And a disruptor, I said it the last time, like an Aldi, a low-cost, no-frills kind of grocery store, if you allow them into Canada, that's a disruptor. Yes. And they're going to come in and they're going to disrupt and they're going to drive pricing down, right? So, I don't understand why they wouldn't look at an option like that just to start with. Just throw in a disruptor, see what happens, and then kind of go from there.
I wonder though, honestly, Rob, I wonder if, because last year with the big splashy show of, oh, we're going to put these CEOs on trial in front of us and we're going to grill them and we're going to make them, it was a show in my opinion. But at that time, Dominic LeBlanc had said that he was reaching out to international ones. I wonder if Aldi turned us down in favor of the Americans, because in my research of grocery businesses in North America and in the world and what works as public options, Aldi has invested a ton of money. They are the 3rd largest store by store size, even though their market share is near the bottom. They're the 3rd largest. They have the 3rd most store space in the entire USA. They're going to be majority market share down the road. So I wonder if they said, no, sorry, Canada, we need to plant some roots in the United States because we find a bigger opportunity there and we need to grow that. But I agree with you. If I was in charge, I'd be courting Aldi hard. I really would. I think the answer is more competition. I would like to see if government had to nationalize anything, I wouldn't have them nationalize stores. I'd have them nationalize distribution centers, because that's automatically making it cheaper for the stores. However, also in my research, the provinces have to agree to it. The federal government is not allowed to put a grocery store in Alberta unless it has Alberta's approval. I wish I was making this up, because we all know what Alberta's going to say to a public service. Just saying.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, here's the thing is if they don't want in and they're not part of it, I mean, then they don't reap the benefits of it. And then at the end of the day, they vote for the party that's going to give them what they want. And perhaps
And
that
then
ends up
hopefully they
happening.
vote in somebody who sees the value of public systems. But another thing that is also repeated in my comments is the history of the government selling off public businesses like this to private entities.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I think honestly the government's got enough things that they need to deal with right now. Like to sit there and create like you have to think of how much money are they going to invest in this? Because you're gonna end up having to get some people in place that understand the business. You're gonna have to pay them well enough to leave whatever business they're in right now to come in to do this with obviously all the risk involved. And then you've got to create the foundations for it. I mean, it, there's a lot. Like I mean,
and
there's
set up your
there's
supply chain.
oh
And
the
like,
supply chain, but I mean, it's not even just the supply chain. I mean, you now have to then go to all the different companies that supply the product, and you got to negotiate to get the best pricing you can from these businesses. Like PepsiCo, Coca
again,
Cola,
I don't
like.
believe the Canadian government, even if they leaned on some of these suppliers and said, we're going to affect your contracts. I think that's overreach, though, with any other food service besides food retail. I don't know if they can match Walmart, that has thousands and thousands and thousands of stores in 19 countries. We're just one country.
Oh, the buying power for Walmart is ridiculous. The
Also, their
only the
labor,
only savings, yeah, well, their
because they're
labor,
not
I
union,
mean,
because they
they're
they,
not
they
union.
famously fight out unions. They put out an announcement last year that they were making this hundreds of $1 million investment or something to get 100, or I can't remember how much they invested, but they made a big news press release for addressing 100,000 employees to bring them up to $16 an hour, bring them up to $16 an hour, which was lower than like 6 provinces minimum wage at the time.
Yeah, and you think about it. I mean, there's going to be some serious wage costs for people working in those grocery stores. If they're government, you're now a government employee. You're going to have fantastic benefits. You're going to have decent wages. Like there's going to be cost factors that are going to affect the pricing of the products. I mean, obviously there's going to be, if you're going with zero profit and you're a not-for-profit kind of business, you're going to have some money to play with. But by the time you sort of eat some of these costs, you're not going to get the same costing on the food that the Walmarts are going to get. You're
Yeah.
not going to, or even Loblaws, you're not going to get that same costing unless the government strong arms people, and then therefore there's now other issues that you're now dealing with.
And do we
But
believe that the government can do that, if unless they have people who are familiar, with the business? But oh no, sorry, I lost it.
uh, yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of factors, and I mean, someone would have to do a cost analysis on it, and are people even going to shop there, or what is it going to look like at the end, and how much money are people actually going to be saving on groceries? And
So
and
that's the thing for me. If because I don't right now, I'm frustrated because I feel like this politician is getting people's hopes up for something that I don't believe he's able to execute. I haven't heard enough context from him. The only information that he offered was buying power from the Canadian government, and then put out that video with misleading information of either comparisons that weren't parallel or comparisons that were labeled as successes or labeled as intentions, even though they have already changed their mind or failed. That's my frustration. But I think that it's good that we're having the conversation. I think that the more people who have the conversation, the more people who push the government to do something about it, then we may see somebody's idea come to fruition. I just don't want to see the government pour millions of dollars into something that they can't do and then end up selling it anyways. You're just
Yeah.
getting people's hopes up for nothing.
Yeah, the only benefit that I could see from all of this is just job creation. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's really what it would be. It would be job creation. I don't see grocery prices going down. Like when we talk about buying power, like you think about how many stores would there be? How many government stores would there? You sort of think of how many provinces, how many major cities, all the like that's a lot of investment in infrastructure for creating these grocery stores. And like really, Canada as a market isn't massive, right? You look at
Yeah.
the Walmarts of the world, and their buying power comes from the markets around the world. I mean, the amount of product that they buy from those specific
Yeah.
companies is massive. It even dwarfs Loblaws,
Yeah.
like really when it comes down to it, you've got the largest, food and grocery retailer in Canada, still can't even come close to the Walmarts of the world. And yet you expect a government run grocery store to have the same buying power. It's
So I,
impossible.
I think I think it's because they believe that. So if so in one of the examples they said, here's an example of a city owned grocery store in Kansas. That one's not a not-for-profit one, though. That one brings in 3% of profit, which is higher than the average of rural profit. So then the argument was, well, instead of making 3% profit, why don't they just make like 0.5% profit? Like, don't have the profit going to making people richer, just, have less profit. The problem is, most of the, like, this has been tried. There's a lot of examples. There's more examples of stores that have tried this and failed than there are of success. And like I said, that success one, I don't know how much they're paying, because the ones that were put in the States were not put in for the same intention that the people who are having this argument are doing. They're saying people who are in this argument are doing it so that Canada can figure out a way to provide cheaper groceries to Canadians, right? That's not what the Americans were doing. The Americans were trying to find a way to get groceries, not affordable groceries, just groceries in general, into what they called food deserts. St. Paul, Kansas is 600 people with zero grocery stores. They only had one grocery store. And when they were about to go to zero grocery stores, because those people were retiring, the city said, okay, well, we'll buy it. But like I said, they make a profit. So I don't know how much the people are paying. I don't know if it's a lower than average price, which this conversation is about. This conversation is about how to provide more affordable food.
Yeah, honestly, I think the answer is competition. I was actually thinking, like, even down in the US, they have like grocery outlets. Like, I think it's called grocery outlet. Yeah, and what some of those places are is they have a lot of food that's expiring within the month, like dry
Yeah.
groceries, all sorts of things, and they have it at like really great pricing. So I don't know if those
There's
are
a
all
place like
options.
that in Vancouver. It's called Quest. I think I tagged it in my video. So that, because I like to tag locations in my TikToks because it makes the video move more. So I'll just pick, like, I never tag where I really am. I'll pick like Kit's Concession Stand or Granville Island. And I tag this Quest nonprofit grocery store. It's in Vancouver, same idea. Close to expiry, donated food from other grocery stores and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think there's the this politician. I think at the end of the day, he's trying to get elected, right? I mean, he wants to become the leader of the NDP party. Uh, and while I don't discount his ideas, and I think it's something that everyone needs to think about, and I think obviously somebody somewhere needs to come up with a plan and sort of see like how it could work and what sort of food prices could be created from this or even other competition. I mean, I'm not discounting it. So if anyone thinks I'm anti whatever, I'm not discounting it either. I think it'd be a great idea, and I think it would also help with job creation within Canada as well. And I mean,
I
I
think
just don't know what
when
the
you're
pricing will
taking
be.
care of such a basic your basic affordability issue, which is food, like food and shelter are your two big ones, right? When we're talking about just food, if we can find a way besides job creation, I think job creation is a really positive outcome from this. But when people are able to afford food, they can afford other stuff too, which makes our whole economy stronger. When people have money to spend, they're not just going, oh, good, I just have money. When people have more, they spend more. When they spend more, other people's businesses, whatever you do for a living, when other people have money, you benefit because you're more likely to get people to be spending it in your business than a whole bunch of broke people.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, I could talk. I could talk all day about this, but I will
You,
save it
you and
for
me
the. I'll
both. You
tell you
know
when the
that.
live is. When Robin gets back to me, Robin and Johnny, if Johnny comes, I'll let you know to see if you can join in. But let's keep going. Let's talk about something else that's being criticized from our Canadian government, and that is the automatic tax filing.
Well, people are against that.
So there's a guy on X who keeps pushing against it. His name, it says he's an Italian guy, Franco Terrazzano. He is the president of the Canadian Taxpayers Foundation, and which is supposed to be neutral. They're not supposed to take anybody's side, except Mr. Terrazzano attended a Pierre Poilievre fundraiser in April, and I don't believe he attended a fundraiser for any Liberal parties. I'm not accusing him of anything, but you guys can understand what I'm saying. Anyway,
there's a lot of misinformation surrounding this.
Yes, there is misinformation surrounding this, and the biggest misinformation was the no consent thing.
Uh-oh. What just happened?
She has Temu internet.
Oh, that's the worst. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, no. So it's funny because I think at the end,
don't continue while she's gone. Hold on.
Yeah, I think for me, as far as I know, is it's taking a certain tax bracket, and they're essentially just doing the taxes for the people so that they don't have to go out and pay to get their taxes done. And I'm pretty sure there's a large group of people that haven't been doing their taxes and they're entitled to tax returns. I think it's a win-win. At the end of the day, as far as I know, the CRA already does my taxes, because I know at the end of the day, they're like, oh, well, this is what we have for you. And it's up to me to sort of put all the extra stuff in there so I can get a better return. Usually, what they have is just basic information, but they already have all the information to do your taxes anyway, other than any deductibles and other things that you want to add in there. So I think it's a win-win.
I think it's a win-win too. And
Same.
I think that I'd read, don't quote me on this, but I think I'd read about a lot of people leaving benefits on the table by not filing their tax returns.
Yeah.
And they talked about how this is aimed at lower income people who don't do their tax returns. So here's the thing. The reason I had to leave right now is I got a phone call that kicked me out. And that phone call was from my dad, who is, he's part of the disability community and he's very old. So all of his money is coming from the government. And if he didn't have me, he would have to pay somebody to do his taxes.
Same.
Now sorry?
Same.
Yeah. So let's say he's in a position where he has to decide, am I going to pay, $100 to get my taxes done, or am I going to buy groceries? He's not going to do his taxes, which means he doesn't get his old age security or his disability benefits. Do you know what I mean? I think that it's the misinformation is that, well, they're going to be doing this with behind your back. This is like a control thing, and it isn't. They're just filling out numbers that they already know and then saying, hey, does this look right? And then you go, yes, and then they hit send for you. It's like somebody else coming over and doing you a favor of plugging all those numbers in for you if you're not going to do it by yourself and you don't want to pay somebody else, and then you can get the benefits.
Can I add to this?
Yes.
It's
just your show. Like
doing my dad's taxes at the end of the year. If you're late doing the taxes, he also loses his prescription, like Fair Pharmacare in BC. If you're late doing them, if you don't do them, you also lose. If you're an older age, they assume you're no longer living, and that's why you're not doing your taxes. So they cut everything off and you need to actually prove that you're alive again to, you know, to get your benefits, like to get your taxes done and everything. And it's a lot of work when an elderly person who is like low minimum of the board to get everything set back up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when that happens. And also there's a lot of people who don't, like you said, they don't have the money to do their taxes. Like every year I volunteer to do people's taxes for free. As long as it's
that's
simple.
so nice.
Yeah, as long as it's simple, because I can't do the,
Yeah.
you know, it has to be very simple, like just, you know, copying numbers over really quickly with a couple slips. But yeah, low income and Revenue Canada has, like, I do it through Revenue Canada, like,
Yeah. Because that one's free, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I usually buy a
volunteer for free to
program,
do it.
but when I'm doing my dad's, like my dad's takes me literally like 5 minutes. It's just
Yeah.
click, 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 click through all the forms. And then I put in like two numbers that are already coming from the government. What they're proposing, and this starts next year, is that you would get it. All the numbers were already filled in. If you don't agree, then they don't file it. They need your consent in order to actually get it going. And I'd also like to mention that this is already active in, I think, 5 other countries, and they had positive results. So I think it's a good thing.
But here's the thing: is it's already being done. They do your taxes with all the basic information they have. They already do it. You know, and the one thing that people haven't touched on is the amount of young families who get like child tax benefits, all these things, and you don't get those unless you file your taxes.
Yeah.
And I mean, but the best part about that is if you didn't file your taxes and you file them late, you'll still get them later on, but you don't get them right away, and then you got to wait for everything. But you know, you think of some young families that don't even realize how much money they're missing.
Yeah.
And they just don't do their taxes, and they just let it kind of, you know, fall
But
by
the
the wayside.
penalties can add up too. Like if you owe, the penalties are massive, like huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And then all that child tax benefit that you thought you were going to get for 6 months all goes to your you know, your debt, and they're like, oh well, too bad. So honestly, I cannot imagine a world where, I mean, obviously there's this person that's against it, but you have to sort of look at those people and go, what is wrong with you?
Or
Like,
what do you have to
what is,
benefit
yeah,
by letting
well,
people
yeah,
believe? Sorry.
like, why, like, no, yeah, like, but it kills me because you sit there and go, this is nothing but a huge benefit to Canadians, especially people in the low income tax brackets. You know, this is massive for them. And you're going to sit there and, you know, poo poo on it. Screw you, man.
But
Get out of here. You know, someone's probably making millions of dollars a year, you know, and has their own accountants that do their taxes for them, is sitting there, you know, trashing this, you know, honestly, like,
which is why I brought up that he is supposed to be neutral. His organization is neutral, and that he personally attended just the conservative event. I believe it is to the conservatives' benefit if people don't want this. Conservatives don't want extra money in social programs. If somebody's not getting their child tax credit, you think a conservative's upset about that? If somebody isn't getting their disability benefit, do you think a conservatives no, conservatives are like, see, they didn't need it to start with. We should cut all those programs and cut taxes. That's why he's doing it. That's just
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting that these
I think so
people,
too.
you know, are willing to do this to hardworking Canadians in a lower tax income, the most, you know, susceptible people in our society, to, you know, all sorts of issues. And
I think the most
why?
vulnerable people in our society are the ones that are used the most for politics. I do, and I think it's gross. I think it's gross, and I think it's dehumanizing. Anyways, sticking in Canada, but then kind of going outside of Canada. Let's talk about the Chinese offer And then that will get us into, since we're talking about China, let's talk about China and the States. Then we can talk about the States. But for right now, let's talk about China's offer to Canada.
In regards to canola oil and the EV market. Yeah. You wonder if that was obviously the hand that they were playing when they cut off or they put the tariffs on the canola oil in the first place.
Totally.
You know? And this one to me is going to be the most interesting on how Carney handles it. I mean, because really you've got two industries that are going to be affected one way or the other. Either the farmers with the canola oil, or car makers. So which one? It sounds bad, but some of those EV vehicles from China are super impressive and super cheap.
They're super cheap. They're like, I think somebody said that they would be like between $10,000 and $14,000. Can you imagine only spending $10,000 on a car? Can you imagine? Brand new, I'm talking.
Yeah.
It's
staggering.
But also how can they afford to make them that cheap? And I follow a guy named Flavio Volpe on X, and he is involved. He's the president of the auto manufacturers. And he is part of Carney's team when they go and they talk with people about the automotive industry. And he's not happy with some premiers to say, hey, we got to do this. And it's the premiers with most of the farmers in their provinces that want to see relief for their farmers. They're in a tough position. Carney's in a tough position. I don't think it's fair to try to pick some Canadians over other Canadians. I think you need to make sure to find a way that everybody is protected. I'm not sure what I would do in his position, but also, and if I may just step back a moment to when we were talking about food pricing, another thing that Mexico does is that it subsidizes fertilizer for their farmers, so that makes it cheaper for them. So if they were looking at a food affordability thing anyways, and if they were starting with farmers and maybe investing in greenhouses and stuff, and helping with the fertilizer costs, which are insane, then maybe you wouldn't have to worry. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough thing to do. I think even if we had subsidies, they're not going to equal the tariffs. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to give them a little bit of benefit, but you're not going to give them all their money for it, right? So I mean, they need to sell the product. They need to make their money. EV vehicles, I think there is a deal that can be worked out, and I don't think it's a 0% tariff on EV vehicles coming from there. But I think if you can create a tariff that's large enough to create, some competition, or some competition. So, where you're making these EV vehicles come in and are similar in pricing to other vehicles, and have consumers basically decide on what they want, but you're not giving them zero tariffs and free reign into this market. There has to be some stuff, because right now, as far as I know, the tariffs are so high that it would pretty much like
it wouldn't make it as attractive an offer.
Or at all. Yeah, they'd be higher in price than any other vehicle in the market here. So
I also think that the timing is not coincidental. When you look at a lot of the headlines of what's happening in the United States, and you're watching their soybean farmers get absolutely destroyed, I don't believe that that's coincidental timing. I think that's a little bit of, hey, we can put pressure on your farmers. We want to sell you our cars. Look what we can do. I don't know. Maybe I'm too conspiratorial now, but I don't believe in coincidental timing like that, where we are worried about our farmers at the same time where we're watching what happens to the American farmers from the same country that we're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what people don't understand is some countries hold the card. They have the cards that they can play when they want to play them. And
Yeah.
they are. I mean, they are. I mean, but I mean, that goes to countries' dependence upon other countries for trade.
Yeah.
So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, no pun intended, but like you, that's all you're going to get. Like those are the people that are going to buy from you. That's where you've put everything into. As soon as they say, maybe not today, you're going to look around and go, whoa, hold on. I've got nowhere else to sell this. I got nowhere else to go with this. I'm
We've done
dependent.
that. We've done that with the US right now. That's
Oh,
where
yeah,
we are
totally.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's our
and
dependence upon them as well, right? Because I mean, we had a free trade agreement for the longest time that worked in everyone's best interest. It really did.
we still have
And
it until
well,
November, at least.
sort of, you know, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you have to realize that just because it's good and it works right now doesn't mean it's always going to be there. And there always has to be a contingency plan. And you know what? There's a lot of volatility out there, and with Trump, who started this whole mess of I'm going to tariff you, and I'm going to tariff you, and I'm going to tariff you, and I'm going to tariff you. Everyone's going to be like, well, you know what? Now's the perfect time for us to play some games and have some fun and
Play
see what
some
we can
games.
get.
They're making so much money off the stock market. There was a person who shorted, I think it was a crypto stock. I think maybe it was even Bitcoin. 30 minutes before Trump talked about 100% tariffs on, and they made something like $192 million in one day, from just happened to place this enormous bet 30 minutes before something very beneficial to him happened. I'm just saying, maybe
Yeah.
her, I don't know, is an anonymous person. Some person made like 192 grand.
People suspect, not proven, that it's
Yeah.
Barron Trump.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's going to be rumors. I wouldn't say that because I don't want the Trumps to sue me, but I've heard the rumor.
I didn't say I said that. I just said people suspect.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But I also I think that Trump's, well, publicly anyways, I don't know privately what he thinks, but publicly I think he's underestimating China. When you keep hearing the Americans talking about how, oh, China needs us more than, I think if we're talking about the year 2000 China, you know, maybe this is 2025 China, and the biggest difference, and you and I haven't talked about this yet, the biggest difference between China in the last 25 years is where their middle class was in the year 2000 and where it is now. So in the year 2000, only 3% of Chinese people were in the middle class. 3%, very small. Now it's just under 50%. In the year 2000, the Americans had a 51% middle class, and theirs has dropped a little bit, and now they're almost even. That's a stronger economy, and I think that they are stronger than they were. And I think that they've been waiting for Trump for a long time. I think that they have been setting up chess pieces for a long time, and now Xi's sitting there going, "Woohoo, giddy up, daddy, let's go." That's what I think.
No, that's exactly what's happening. I mean, it really is. I mean, they, like I said earlier, they hold all the cards. I mean, with BRICS, and there's a lot going on out there, and I think there's a lot of people that are missing the boat and are waking up to chaos, and they didn't realize it, and they were not prepared for it whatsoever.
I also think that in general, human beings aren't as great with change as some of us would love to believe. Like, just watch people. People in general aren't great with change, and we've seen more change in the last 5 years than we have in our lives. The pace of change is a lot faster, and not everybody's keeping up.
Yeah, it's funny because we've done a lot of stuff. What is it? Workshop kind of stuff on change, right? And getting people, you know,
Change management.
okay with changes, and how do you deal with the different demographics and different people, some people who really love change and are like, woohoo, let's do this, and other people are like, whoa, hold on, this is crazy, what are we doing here? And it's funny because after doing a lot of that stuff, you realize there is a large percentage of people that are not happy with change. They just want everything to stay status quo, exactly how it is. There's no reason for change. We don't need to do this. And those are the people that are struggling right now. Absolutely struggling.
I think it's kind of like a cycle too, because first of all, people aren't good with change anyways. And I think one of the biggest reasons that people aren't good with change is sort of like a control thing, right? When I'm used to what is coming, I feel more in control, and I maybe don't feel in control about some other stuff that I'm not happy with in my life. And because the last 5 years have been so sideways, there's a lot of, you already feel less in control than you were before, and you're already facing more change. So the more change that you face, the more that it's contributing to why you're not good with change. That was deep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right, you want to stay in the States?
Let's go wherever. I'm good with whatever.
It's already 22. Holy smokes. I think the big news is the hostage and prisoner release, which I think is worth celebrating.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the videos of like family reunions and stuff. Like, it's goosebumps minimum if you're not crying. I think that is a win. I think that there's a lot of politics behind it, and a lot of gratuitous this going on. I think that celebrate the good that's happening, but don't take your eye off the prize, man. Like, I think a lot of people want to celebrate this and then just be relieved. And I think it's a relief that all of those people, I know it's a relief that all of those people are free. I don't know that we have enough evidence to believe that the relief is going to be long lasting. And I wish I wasn't saying that. I wish I wasn't so suspicious. But do you disagree?
Well, here's the thing. So, majoring in political science and history, that understanding that region and everything that's going on in there. I mean, the hostage release is amazing. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but now it's the hard work has to start happening. You've got two sides that absolutely hate each other, and now you're going to be like, well, now you guys are all going to live in peace and harmony, and everything's going to be okay, and you're going to forget about everything that's ever happened there. Like, I don't know, like, how do you, like, how is this really going to change from all the other times they've tried this, right? Because this isn't the first time. This isn't groundbreaking where this has never happened before.
Which
This
isn't
has
what
happened.
you feel like when you watch the stories that are coming across your phone.
Yeah. But I mean, this has happened before, and you've had leaders, say in Israel, who wanted this, and they promoted this in the past, and then were assassinated, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose because the group of people that didn't want it in the first place are now in control again, and then you've got both sides, you've got everyone. Like, there is a lot to this, and I'm super thrilled that the hostages have been reunited. Just truly, like, heartwarming scenes, but everyone has to realize there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, this is the beginning, and hopefully it keeps on, getting better and better, and they have some amazing ideas, and they're able to do it, but I think everyone has to sit back and realize this is just the beginning. Like, this is literally, like, just because they signed something and they're doing they've released hostages. These are all just baby steps in the very beginning of what this all has to look like for the future.
Yeah.
Like,
and did you
people are saying in the comments that Israel already broke the ceasefire on
No
YouTube
way.
and on our
Why
comments.
on my laptop?
They're saying, here, I'll show you Steve's. Steve says, but they killed 7 people today. It's not a peace deal. That's what Steve says. Have to go look it up.
Thank you, Steve.
yeah, we'll definitely have to look that up, because
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't heard that today.
Yeah. I also am not a fan of the suggestion that Netanyahu get pardoned.
Oh, come
I
on.
I don't believe that that's okay. And I it was like right away too. It was like, hey, look what we just did. I think we should pardon this guy.
That was Trump.
Of course it
Trump
was
was,
Trump. But
well,
I
I
think
mean,
when
you
we
have a felon, you have a criminal suggesting a pardon for another criminal. I
fair
mean,
enough,
oh my goodness, come on.
the guy who pardoned all the January, he's the pardon guy, right? I think that when we talk about, we need to recognize that this is just the first step and not just take this as a win and relax. Keep the pressure up, keep your eye on what's happening, because if everybody just goes, whew, that was okay, good, glad that happened, because there is a lot to distract you everywhere else. That I think that's the risk, is that people take their eye off it because they think that they've won the series and not just a goal.
Yeah, and I think was it yesterday that Israel bombed another Middle Eastern country as well. Like, obviously it wasn't in Gaza, but they're bombing. I got to look it up again exactly what country they bombed, but yeah, I don't know, everybody. Well, I guess we're
I, I
gonna
just
wait and
I
see,
think
but I
we're
don't think we're gonna have to wait too long to see.
it's just, whether we're talking about this or the Ukraine and Russia war, all of the wars, any war that you're talking about, anytime, the guys that are responsible for the wars, the guys that are actually fighting, the leader guys, those aren't the ones that are getting hurt. It's always just the regular guys that are getting hurt for the sake of a few, but who say that they're doing it for everybody.
Well, yeah, because I mean they've got to make sure that propaganda is strong, right? To all the people, they need their people in their country to be behind them, and
Yeah.
like rah rah rah. Yeah, these people need to pay, and it goes back and forth, right?
And I also don't mean that out of everybody. I mean that out of the aggressive countries, and not the ones that are sticking up for themselves. I think that you kind of need that when you're sticking up for yourself.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so speaking of military and wars and stuff, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, not the
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of War, has declared that all America, like all of their media, not American, this is happening in America, but all media needed to get his permission or get the Pentagon's permission before broadcasting anything. And he wanted them to sign a pledge. Now, so far, only one media outlet, OAN1, which is very, very far right. They're further right than Fox, in my opinion. They
Right.
signed on to it, but everybody else got together and said, this is a First Amendment violation. We're not going to agree to this. Fox News said no. Newsmax said no. This isn't just the left-leaning guys, the guys that you expect. It was, Associated Press, CNN, New York Times, those guys you expect. But it was also Fox said no way.
Yeah, it's literally the first step to state-run media. Like it's North Korea. I don't know how much more blatant it can get, but I mean, really, I think it speaks volumes that Fox News, and was that
Fox
news?
News is who got them there. Fox News
Yeah.
he's from
Wow.
Fox News.
Yeah,
He was
Fox
a
News.
Fox News
Yeah.
guy, and not just him,
Yeah.
but Fox News is arguably one of the largest contributing reasons to why this guy's the president anyways.
It is true. It is true, but it's great that they're at least standing up for it.
Yeah,
So,
I'll
I
take
mean,
better late
that's
from never.
yeah, exactly.
So actually on that, and I know it wasn't on the list, but I think it's a good conversation, the better late than never, because I said I'm happy for Fox, even better late than never. Doesn't mean that I'm okay with all of the BS that they had put out there before and still continue to. Doesn't mean I'm good with anything else that I was formerly critical of. I'm just saying I'm happy about this one move. Wish they would have made it sooner. I believe in recognizing something that you agree with, even if it's from somebody that you typically disagree with. And I don't think that that is the rule on the internet. I think most of the time and we're seeing this with the people who have regret voting for Trump, and then people going after. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you see it now. You voted for him, like, you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
And I
I think
understand where that comes from. I do. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just recognizing it.
yeah, I think part of the issue is everyone was sort of sold this bill of goods in a way, and this sort of dream of something different, and they were sold hard, and it's sort of that be careful of what you wish for, because now it's just so much worse than you could even imagine. It's funny, in the summer I was down south in the U.S., and I was in a gas station, and like the whole city, like it was a lot of Latino people in the city, and just everywhere. And I was in this gas station, and they had propaganda just blaring inside. Trump is great. Look what he's doing. We've arrested all these people that have, all these serious, we arrested this person who's raping and killing people in this county, and we've deported them, and it was just like blaring in there. And I'm like, this is absolutely craziness. And it was sound bites from Trump, sound bites from like Christi and Bondi, like, and all these people that they've rounded up, who are the most horrific criminals, and that they're creating this safe America. And like, it felt like in some weird, like, dystopian, like I felt like I was in a movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, is everyone actually listening to this? Like, is this really? Because it was just being pumped in there. And I'm thinking to myself, that's how they're getting everybody, right?
Yeah.
They're just pumping this misinformation and propaganda. But I was like, this is insane.
Well, that's great to know too, because I think a lot of us who don't see that firsthand, like I haven't heard of that happening before. And so I think there's this assumption that people are just getting it either from social media or from the news. I didn't even realize they're just getting it from the air around them.
Yeah, it was a gas station. It was a gas station. Like, it was just a gas station with like a little Mexican restaurant inside, and like a little mini mart kind of thing. But
oh my gosh,
it was just blaring. It was just in there. And the whole time we were in there, it was still going. It was still going. It wasn't like
it wasn't just like a commercial.
It wasn't a commercial with music playing afterwards. It was like just constant. I'm like, unless it was the world's longest commercial ever, I don't know. But it was,
yeah.
I think we were in there for more than 5 minutes for sure. Looking for snacks and stuff. But
yeah. I also think so. Christi Nome had those commercials at the airports where, I don't know if you heard about this. When you went to an airport, there was going to be a commercial of Christi Nome talking about how the government shut down right now because of the radical Democrats. And a bunch of airports said, we're not going to play that. We're not going to play that. And they just like the media saying to the Pentagon, we're not going along with that. Airports are saying, we're not going along with that. And I'm hoping that this is starting to get more people to say no, because when you're watching from Canada, we're almost screaming like, how you let it get this far? How many inches are you giving them? Another one was George Stephanopoulos cutting off JD Vance. Did you see that?
Yeah, I heard about it. I never saw it though, but I heard about it.
So he was very professional. I think he kept asking him the same question: Did that guy take the money? And then Vance is dancing, right? Dancing Vance. Did he take the money? That's not what I'm doing. I'm just asking, did he take the money? He didn't do anything wrong. FBI said there's no blah, blah, blah. So then he's like, okay, thank you he's like, nope, that's not what I was doing. Thank you very much. And then JD's like, no. And he wanted to keep talking. And then George's like, next up, we're going to go to commercial or whatever, and just pretended like he wasn't talking. I thought it was fantastic. I think we need to see a lot more of it. And I would love to see that in Canada. I would love to do that in Canada. I'd love to be the person interviewing Pierre, and he BS's and go, nope, and then cut him off and then run. Oh, I love that.
It's like the dream scenario for you, right?
It is. It
Uh,
is. Look at my playlist of Pierre. It's like 50 videos of me calling BS on that guy.
yeah, and it probably could be 500, and
It
that's just in
could.
a week because he loves to spin a ton of misinformation constantly. So I mean that's
His
his playbook.
his latest is that he wants to get rid of DEI programs. So
Huh.
I challenged him on, okay, which programs? Which programs? Don't just say DEI. Tell me which programs you want to get rid of. He's being a Maple MAGA. It's why they're going to lose for the fifth time. It is like, I think it's I think that they want to say that the reason that he lost was because of the Carney and Trump factor. I think people were relieved to have an option that wasn't MAGA or Trudeau.
Yeah, here's the funny thing is, so even for myself, you know, and I think Carney was a breath of fresh air in a way, but I think that if the conservative government had a legitimate leader with, how do I say this politically correct? I can't.
Diplomacy,
Yeah, just
integrity.
like intelligence. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but at least have someone that was more charismatic, wasn't doing interviews eating apple and doing
Oh,
like, and the slogans. I think conservatives would be in government right now. I mean, I don't think
I
it's
do
so
too.
much. I don't think it's so much the Trump thing and Carney. Carney obviously was a breath of fresh air from everything that was happening. But I mean, for him to have done what he did and for the Liberals to get into government again, it needed Pierre Poilievre to be the leader of the opposition. I mean, it really did. That's how they got in. They literally got in because a bunch of us look at Pierre Poilievre and go, no, that guy can never be Prime Minister of Canada. There's no way, there's no way any of us could ever do that to our country or to
Especially
ourselves.
women. He is way more unpopular with women. Like, I don't know the numbers, but he's very, very unpopular with women. But before the election, there were people like Corey Tenike. Corey Tenike was Rob Ford's campaign manager. He's a winning campaign manager. And he said, this guy's being too MAGA. People don't want to hear it. And Corey's not saying whether or not he agrees with MAGA policies or not. This guy's just about how to win elections. He recognized that Canada was souring on the messages that sounded too Trumpy because by now Trump's in office. I also think if we would have had our election before Trump took office, I also think we would have had Pierre, and I think that would have been a disaster. But anyways, he said Canadians don't want to hear this style anymore. He needs to pivot. And then they went, nope, this is the right way. And then they lost. And
Yeah.
now he's doubling down. He's just being more MAGA-y instead of less MAGA-y. And yeah, I just made up that word. But it's why they're going to lose for a fifth consecutive time, I think.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is in some of the stuff that you hear from even conservatives is he doesn't really listen to the people around him. He wants the people around him to listen to him. And I think anytime you have a leader that's not willing to listen to the people around you, you're just going to keep making mistakes, making mistakes, making mistakes. The sign of a good leader is taking all the brilliant people that are around you and getting what you can from them and getting their ideas and their thoughts and brainstorming and coming out with the best possible fight for whatever it is. And he's not. It's no, this is my way. This is my way. My way's the best. We're going to do this and we're going to do this the way I want it. And keep going. I mean,
I think Jenny Byrne got a lot of blame for that. I think a lot of people assumed that it was from his campaign manager, Jenny Byrne, that style was coming from. But now that she's not advising him anymore and he's getting worse, I think it's more indicative that this is a him thing. And I think you're right. I think that a good leadership quality is instead of assuming that you have the best idea, listen to all the ideas of that are available to you, talk it out and come up with the best possible solution instead of saying, no, my ego states that I'm right because I'm the leader. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a good leader. I think that's ego.
It's kind of like that that one practice where it was count all the F's. So it's like the big statement, and then you had to count all the F's that are in that statement, and everyone had a different count,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh geez, which one was right? And then you realize, like people were off, right? And at the end of the day, Pierre Polyev is the type of person that's going to pick 7, but the real answer is 9, and then everyone's going to have different numbers, and the real answer is 7. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
Yeah.
and that's who he is, and
Well,
that's
that's not
downfall.
just who he is. That is who the mega leaders are. That is exactly what Trump is doing. Trump is saying, whatever I said, that's the reality. And that's what Pierre is doing too. It's the same playbook. I think it has to do part with who he is and part of the playbook that he's following, but it's also why I believe that he's chosen to follow that playbook because of who he is.
Yeah, and and I get it. It worked down in the U.S., but this is Canada. This is Canada. Like there has to be more. We expect more from our politicians.
I hope
And
so.
yeah, and well, but I mean, everyone spoke out. I mean, that last election, I mean, it should have been a landslide victory for conservatives. It should have been, like, 100%. After everything that had happened, it was, you kind of sit there and go, yeah, like I even with Pierre Poilievre, I was like, well, chances are it's still going to be a conservative government, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute shocker in a way, but it wasn't, because now that when everyone started coming out afterwards, they're all like, well, I would never vote for Pierre. I mean,
Yeah.
never vote for
I
Pierre.
remember that feeling in my stomach when I was online one day and I just kept coming across post after post of people resigning to the fact that this guy was probably going to win. And I remember the day that I did it. I remember I didn't do it publicly, I don't think, but I remember sitting in my chair going, this guy's going to be the prime minister. Like, this guy's going to win. Trudeau can't beat this guy. There's absolutely no way this guy's going to win. I'm going to be stuck with this guy. And I remember how that felt. And then I remember when Carney poked his head up, and it was like this collective country relief from everybody like me who didn't want, who felt the dread thinking about what would be like if Pierre was the prime minister. And it was less about, honestly, for me, just for me, it was less about Carney and more about not Pierre. It was.
Yeah, that's what it was for me too. It was anyone but Pierre. Anyone but Pierre.
Yeah, I will say though, I was familiar with Carney before too, because I'm a 2008 recession nerd, and I've read all about that too. That's what, honestly, that's what got me into paying attention to this kinds of stuff. Was in 2006, Marty told me what was going to happen in 2008, and I didn't believe him. I'm like, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like, that's not going to happen. And then it did. And I was like, dude, how'd you do that? And he's like, oh, there's this economist that I follow, and he had predicted it. And I just thought he was right. And then I've been down every 2008 recession rabbit hole. And a lot of them, when you look at what Canada was doing, and you look at guys like Hank Paulson saying that every single person who's ever worked with Carney respects him. And then I'm thinking, who do we want on a national stage representing our country? Do we want the apple eating BSer, or do we want the guy that every single person, no matter what country he's working in, with whom he's working, he gets respect?
Yeah, exactly. He's just a down home good guy, and yeah, I'm just happy it's not Pierre, but he's
Me
still
too.
in the picture. He's still
He
in the
is.
picture.
And you know what? So did I tell you I have a bet with a bunch of people on the internet, that because I said when he lost his seat, I said that they were going to kick him as leader of the Conservatives, and so I bet some people. The bet is that if he's still the leader of the Conservatives by Christmas, on Boxing Day, I'm going to be making a bunch of videos for a bunch of people to say I was wrong and you were right.
Yeah,
But
guess
if
what you're
not,
doing.
if for any reason he steps down, or if he's kicked before Christmas, and my days are numbered now, I think I might lose this bet.
Christi, Pierre Poilievre will never step down. He will
They might
never
make
step
him.
down.
They
But
would make him.
nobody's gonna make him. He'll go out kicking and screaming. He's just that person. He
He
literally.
hasn't even
There
learned
will
his
be.
lesson. He's still doing the same rhetoric, the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
He has
When
not
is that
learned.
review? When is his review?
January.
January, right?
Those guys
Yeah.
screwed me. Those
Yeah.
guys screwed me. They could have had the review December 1st. I'm winning my bet. Happy, right?
Or you
Who do
could
I
have
gotta
just
call?
not bet right away and waited till that announcement and been like,
I know.
hey,
Did you
as
just
of
tell
the
me
end
not
of
to bet right
January,
away? Like you've just met me or something? Come on.
yeah,
Come
you're all
on.
in. I'm all in. I'm all in.
Always.
How much do you want to bet that they're going to pull like a Daniel Smith, where they make it very difficult for the membership to show up and vote anything but Pierre Poilievre? Like she bussed in people. She, what else did she do? She made it so that people didn't even know that they were to go into this membership vote. She made it difficult for them to get there, that sort of thing. And then so she got voted in as leader because.
So hold on. Are you asking me if Pierre Poilievre, the guy who had big signs up to say, this is how you print in your name, and the name that they used as an example was, I vote for Pierre Poilievre. Are you asking me if he's going to use manipulative tactics? Yeah, I believe he's not, I don't think that's below him, right? Just saying. Did you see those? This is how you print the name out. I vote for. And then come on. Huge posters. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're going to see this.
Anyways, you guys good for Friday?
Yep.
Yes. You have 2 questions though.
Oh, okay.
One is from Zen in regards to boycotting grocery stores for Canada. She wants to know what your thoughts are, or they want to know, I'm not sure. They want to know what your thoughts are. How do they boycott big corps but still support Canadian jobs?
That's the thing. So I've made a video because before, I think it was like last summer, a lot of people were encouraging a boycott against Loblaw. And I said, I think our efforts would be better served somewhere else because number one, I don't think a boycott against Loblaw would work because I think Loblaw is too big. I think you have to hurt about 150,000 regular working Canadians to get to a Galen. And let's be honest, if the government made it illegal for Galen Weston to sell food tomorrow, that guy's still a billionaire. He is. He's got Joe Fresh. He's got healthy. He's got all the Shoppers Drug Marts. He's got so much other money. He's got the largest real estate investment trust in the country. He has so many other pots on the stove that food is just how he gets people into his stores. If we boycotted Loblaw, all you're doing is making the next Galen the Sobeys family, right? Who are also billionaires. You're just picking one billionaire over another billionaire instead of going against the whole system. The problem isn't Galen. The problem is the system. The problem is our system allowed 3 Canadian grocery stores to gobble up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other stores to become only 3 grocers.
Yeah. You know how you hurt them?
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I mentioned this in one of the last things that we did, is you want to hurt them, shop Canadian for one, and only buy things that are on sale. Only buy things that are cheap, really good deals, buy them on sale. Those are the loss leaders in the store. Those are the ones that aren't getting jacked up where they're making the large gross profit on them. Buy the stuff that's on sale. Buy the stuff that's cheap. Don't buy it when it's not on sale. If it's not on sale, they're making, anywhere between 25 to 40% profit on those items. Buy the stuff that's on sale. It's nice and cheap. And, just keep doing that. Cherry pick. And that's what it's called, is you cherry pick. And that is definitely the way to do it. I wouldn't suggest boycotting anyone in particular. I mean, there's people that still work in those stores, and I mean, they are hardworking Canadians. But I would say, if you want to hurt a grocery store or a grocery industry, you go in and you just buy everything that's on sale. And don't worry about the stuff that's not on sale.
I'm too popular. Every time I get a phone call, it kicks me out. Sorry. Shelby, if you're watching this, I'll call you back. So I think that Rob has a good point. I think that you can still boycott, not, it wouldn't be a boycott, but you can still send a message with your grocery dollars to people like Galen without hurting the people who work for Galen by only buying the stuff that he's not making money on, but he's by only spending your money on the bait, right? The bait that's going to get you into the store to get you to spend money on the stuff that he is making money on. You can still use your grocery dollars to send a message without hurting the people that work there. But honestly, I think if you're boycotting one store, you're just moving the problem to one of the other two guys. I honestly believe that the five now, if we keep going the way we're going and we don't stop these guys from gobbling up other guys, then all of the Metro stores are next. Metro stores only have 11% market share. All the Loblaws and the Sobeys guys are going to gobble them up to try to compete with the Walmarts and the Costcos until it's just either Walmart and Loblaw and Costco. And I'm going to bet, honestly, even though Loblaw is a Canadian company and I'd love to cheer for them, I would say more realistically, we would end up with a Walmart and a Costco. We would end up with only American options. And I hate to say that, but that's what I see.
Steve says support Giant Tiger.
Oh, Giant Tiger. That's not something that we have in
That's
BC.
back east. That's back east. Yeah.
Who owns Giant Tiger?
I'll tell you when Steve answers.
Well, I'm going to look into it for when I do my live with Robin and stuff. What was the other question?
The other question is, and I need to apologize because I didn't write the name of the person down. I don't know if they're still in the comments. If you are, just say something and I'll say your name then. But they said when you were talking about setting up the grocery stores and affordable food, how would it be, or would it be worthwhile to set up a non-profit where you sell at cost?
But then how do you pay for it, right? That's the only thing. To sell it at cost, how do you pay for the refrigeration to keep it cold? How do you pay for the people to put it in the refrigerator? How do you pay to get it into your business? That's why I believe in subsidies. I think if you want an affordable food option, I think it's more realistic, it's more feasible. You have a better chance of success in getting a subsidy than you do of government being able to run a store much more cheaper in order to, I think it's not as feasible as subsidies. So to sell at cost, you would need something to pay for all of the costs of selling food.
Yeah, I think the issue is at cost. You've got workers, you've got transportation, you've got warehousing costs. You have so many costs associated to it that you need to make some money off of it to pay that off.
You have to pay for it somehow.
If you don't,
yeah.
if you don't, I mean, you can say, well, we're not going to do that. But now you are now taking Canadians' tax money and putting it into that. I mean, that's just really what so we're still going to pay for it even if we don't shop there. So you got to make a little bit of money. You got to make a little bit of money to pay all the other stuff.
Even if you weren't paying for refrigeration and people and transportation and distribution, even if you weren't paying for anything else, you have to cover the cost of your waste. You're not going to sell food without having any waste. It's unrealistic to believe.
Yeah, I think the only benefit of a government-run grocery store is just adding the competition. And if people went to that government grocery store and they're like, we're going to put everything behind this and we're all going to shop there, we're not going to shop at these other places because of the billionaires that own it, you could affect their pricing, you could affect their business 100%, because it's something that's going to destabilize the grocery business 100%. But you gotta have the money put in first.
So Steve was playing with us. That's who owns Giant Tiger, a conservative guy.
I can't read it.
A conservative guy.
Oh, conservative guy. I will look it up though. I will.
And Lori says,
hey Lori.
Lori says their VP of Giant Tiger is a con MP. Oh, I didn't know that. And Shelb says,
I'll be digging.
Shelb says sorry and call me when you're done the live.
Okay. Yeah, Shelby's who kicked me out. And my dad too. My dad phone too. I got a lot of calls to catch up on. So then let's wrap it up and invite everybody to come and see us on Friday to do this again. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, make sure you do that. That's where you can also find any of our old shows. Make sure you're following our TikTok page, and make sure that all of your friends that you think would appreciate it are also following. Did you guys have anything else to say?
I'm good.
All
Me
right.
too.
Then we will see you guys on Friday. Polly, did you need us to stick around, or are we good?
Nope, we're
I'm
good.
just checking.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye. See you
Bye.
Friday.